Just how does President Trump's COVID diagnosis impact the 2020 presidential campaign? We check in with correspondent Ed O'Keefe.
In the coming days, you can expect what remains of this 2020 presidential campaign to look different. A lot different. On Wednesday, Vice President Pence and Joe Biden's running mate Kamala Harris are still set to debate in Salt Lake City. She arrived Friday as a precaution.
And I want to thank the people of Utah for being so welcoming in such a warm way.
This Thursday, Pence, Biden, and Harris are all set to hold campaign events in Arizona. But absent from the campaign trail, at least in person, will be President Trump.
My wife Jill and I pray that they'll make a quick and full recovery.
Biden has been wishing the ailing president well, adding,
"The news is a reminder that we as a nation need to do better in dealing with this pandemic."
The business of Washington is also set to continue. Majority Leader Mitch McConnell said Saturday that the full Senate won't meet in person for the next 2 weeks, but the Judiciary Committee will, in order to begin confirmation hearings for Supreme Court nominee Amy Coney Barrett. With two members of that panel, Mike Lee of Utah and Tom Tillis of North Carolina, having tested positive for COVID-19, it's unknown how they will participate. Much like everything else, the pandemic plunged the campaign into chaos back in March, when the first public events were canceled. Ever since, President Trump and opponent Biden have been a study in contrasts. Mr. Trump is rarely seen wearing a mask. Biden is rarely seen without one.
Can I take my mask off? I guess I can. All right.
Biden's public events are small and infrequent. Only COVID-screened reporters, staff, and VIPs can attend at a social distance. But up through last Wednesday, Mr. Trump continued holding large public rallies.
Let's make America great again.
Always packed with thousands of supporters, many of whom don't cover their faces. From the campaign's start, Biden limited his appearances to brief remarks.
The administration's failure on testing is colossal, and it's a failure of planning, leadership, and execution.
And then mostly hunkered down at home in Wilmington, Delaware.
I wish we could have done this together and it gone a little more smoothly, but...
In recent days, it's rare when Biden doesn't talk or tweet about the president's response to the pandemic.
The reports, oh, it's COVID.
While Mr. Trump has consistently tried to avoid the subject or raise doubts about its seriousness.
Many called it a flu, what difference?
Or mock Biden for his caution.
I don't wear masks like him. Every time you see him, he's got a mask. He could be speaking 200 feet away from it. He shows up with the biggest mask I've ever seen.
Polling from September showed 52% of voters believe Biden would do a better job handling the pandemic, to the president's 38%. And that was before Mr. Trump's COVID diagnosis. And in a campaign season already robbed of many of its usual trappings, with just 30 days to go, the 2020 campaign might have to go without one of its candidates, at least for now.